What is it that us artists have in common? Well, we're here to find out. This is Red and Yellow Make Ginger. Right. Okay, so hi and welcome to a new episode of Red and Yellow Make Ginger. So I am here with Aramis, the artist, Aramis Hamer.
Hey, Chris, thanks
So,
for having
yeah,
me. Oh, this is so exciting.
I'm so happy to have you here. So welcome to the podcast. Thank you. And yeah, we were talking about how your vlogs give so much to the audience, so much information. So we don't really need to talk about those because they'll be in your videos. But I really wanted to, we both agreed that going behind the curtain, seeing how the YouTube experience is, would be the best way to go, because we were saying about how do you balance that up with your main passion, painting, and all the other creative endeavors and the business side, and yeah,
Definitely.
how's that look like, and what goes into what makes you decide what goes into those videos and what doesn't?
Yeah, no, I love to pull behind the curtain because I feel like that's where the juice is.
Yes.
Like that's where the actual meaty stuff is. But for folks who don't know me, I'm Aramis Hamer. I am a visual artist working out here in Seattle, Washington, and I always say I paint large scale, colorful, cosmic queens, and so I love using a whole lot of color in my work. And so I share that process on my channel, which is considered like a diary of an artist. And so it's funny because like my channel feels like there's the stuff that's like behind the scenes, because how I sort of like divide social media is where the Instagram is where the majority of my like clients, collectors, people who are buying my art. But I've noticed that YouTube is more the people who are also artists, and so they're either like aspiring to be a full-time artist or trying to learn how to like stretch a canvas. I have a canvas video. I created a video about how to turn your art into enamel pins. So it's definitely like more geared towards the artists themselves. It kind of took me a while to notice that too.
Mm.
So like a little bit about the behind the scenes for YouTube. I love analytics. Like I'm that person who like dives into like the YouTube studio, checking out the analytics, like replying to comments, and then like clicking on people's channel too. Like especially if I
Yeah.
I have the what is it called? The vidIQ plugin. You know that one?
I haven't come across that one.
Have you heard of TubeBuddy?
I have. I just couldn't get it working in. I'm sure it does work in the UK, but I don't know what I was
Oh,
doing.
really? Okay. Well, yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, because I am here in the States. So yeah, vidIQ is similar to TubeBuddy, where they kind of like show you more like numbers, more analytics, like provide you with like title recommendations and stuff. And so there's also a plugin that you can put on your Google dashboard. And so it shows you it pretty much shows you like the analytics of other people's channel. So if somebody has like maybe over 200 or 500 subscribers, then that kind of registers to me that this is also somebody who's creating content as well. And I'm constantly looking for new content creators, new artists, new YouTubers. So I will click on their channel and see what they're up to. So, and I always just like to know who's following me, like what type of person is following me. Like I'm always just like,
Yeah,
who are these people?
it's difficult to track them sometimes, because thinking that's a number, but who are they? Who's joined now? Who's new? Yeah.
Exactly, right? Because it's like we just see those like view numbers. But it's like what type of person? And like when I see, I mean, even for us to be talking and you are in the
Yes.
UK, I'm like, what? Like
Yeah.
it's just the
We
internet
talked,
to
we
me.
talked on the lives, and we talked on the comments, and then here we are.
Yeah. I just love the internet. That's me.
Yeah.
I get to geeking out about the internet, but yeah, that's me.
Yeah, because I mean, what I like about your videos is like a real snippet of. I mean, you say keep it real, but I'm sure there's stuff you don't put in the video. But it's
Yeah.
just it's not necessarily, because I've been getting into the trap of like all the little process of making the art, and like I just want to shut the door and be in, put my headphones in, and because you do show some of the process, don't you? You show how you start, which is all that watery kind of stuff, and then you hone it up, which I love,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
um was a decision to not put so much of the creative creating
Yeah,
in there, and have
you know,
more of
and
the
that's
diary and journal? Yeah.
definitely, well, yeah. If you watch some of my earlier videos, it was a lot of me painting. Like I would just, like when you starting out, you kind of just looking at other people and kind of trying to find your style. But I felt this energy like every time, because I have a separate art studio. So like my studio is separate from my home. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Do you currently work from home now?
Yeah, I had to move it back after I couldn't afford the other one anymore. So I was there for 4 years. I've been back home for about a year now. So still shifting things around, still tidying up, and still, yeah.
Yeah, no, I
But
feel you.
your studio being separate, is that close to where you are? Because
It's not close. I'm actually
like,
looking to move studios, but we'll see. Okay,
sorry,
one day at a
I've
time.
gone on a
But
tangent because I just went, "Ooh, interested." Yeah.
yeah, it is. Well, my husband and I recently purchased a home, which I'm super excited about. I'm so
Mm.
grateful. But just with, life and trying to family plan and trying to have like a bigger home for future family, like we needed to go further from the city, and my studio is in the city. So now I have quite a bit of commute. It's like about a 45-minute commute, you know. And so whenever I do come to the studio, it's like a dedicated work day. Like I'm here
Exactly.
all day, and maybe not here in the studio all day, but I'm just like in the city all day. I have my meetings. I'm, like filming stuff. I'm painting. I'm going to, Home Depot to get some spray paint. Like it's just like a work day. Um, but yeah, and so I scaled back a little bit of sharing more of the process of the art. Um, just because like every time I would come into my studio, I felt like I had to pick up my camera. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I kind of just want to like be here, you know?
Yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. I'm thinking, what? Because I get so inspired by the way others are sharing their content. I'm thinking, how can I shift mine? So,
Totally.
you got to that point as well where you just didn't want to move the camera
100%.
constantly.
And to tell you the truth, I feel like the process of painting is kind of boring. Like it's like you kind of got to get a little creative and like fun with the editing, fun with the angles to make it something interesting, because like I could be painting a face for like 6 hours straight, and like that's not
Yeah,
really like, engaging content and increasing the audience retention and like, fast paced and comical. And so I have energy for days, clearly, so it's like I was like, all right, how about I just center it more of me, because I have enough energy and vivaciousness to like keep the viewer, and then I can still keep my creative process as this sort of sacred, intimate meditation process that I enjoy,
I
you
love
know.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
A lot of my energy's on the inside. I'm thinking about how to, but I was watching the video and going, oh, I've been watching for 8 minutes now, and it's just been you. And I was like,
Mhm.
amazing how it's like. I tried analyzing it. Why have I watched it? Because
Yeah. Oh,
because
okay.
yeah, you got this great pace, and it's just yeah, it's
Yeah, well,
very
the
engaging.
other thing, well, I thank you. I appreciate that. But the other thing, I just didn't want to niche myself into only the art lane. Like when I look at different artists, I feel like, okay, the only people who would kind of be interested in this is like other artists or art lovers. I
Mhm.
feel like I wanted to have this sort of broadness around like art, spirituality, like self-development, just really having it be
It's
this
great.
diary of an artist. And so if I ever do, because I actually want to get into like 3D work and ceramics, like all sorts of stuff. So I didn't want it to be super focused on my art. I felt like if it was centered around me, I could pivot I could do anything and people would still watch if it was about me.
Yeah, so it's building more of a community because I mean you're on 7,500. So do you find you're able to track enough people where it feels like a community, or do you lose a few to that
No, I
massive
feel
number?
like we're still in the community. And I just
Yeah.
love this. Like, this is like, first of all, I geek out over YouTube, Chris. So I'm just honored to even have a space to kind of talk about it. Like, my husband, Andy, he be in the vlogs and stuff, but
Yep.
he's not big into social media or YouTube at all. And so the only people I get to talk about with this, like, sort of content creation side is like other content
Yes.
creators, and like, other channels and stuff. But yeah, the community is there. The community is strong, even with 7.5K. And The thing is, I feel like that's still, I mean, that's still small, right? Like in the spectrum of
In the
like,
spectrum of social media, yes.
yeah, that's still fairly small. And so, of anything, I'm just trying to get more people over to my blog and like the blogcast and the newsletter because you just know how like these social media platforms, they're so finicky. One minute the algorithm loves you, the next minute nobody sees your video. So I've always been a big component of having ownership of my audience. Yeah.
More like a direct line to you.
Yeah, exactly. Direct access to them. And so yeah. So that's kind of why I'd be like, hey, sign up for the blog, y'all, all the different things. But yeah, how do you feel about that in regards to the community with your channel?
So I feel like extemporary art, we have a few comments here and there, and there's a few key people, but it's been real slow. Like I've got around 315 in 3 years, and then this channel has gone up to over 1,000 at the time of this recording in under 3 months, which is
Wow.
crazy because
Well, and
I'm not
that's
used to
part
that
of it.
kind of success.
No,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, and the thing is, people love conversations. People love being able to relate to people. And I think what you're doing with the podcast just really shows that, like people, because the thing is, even if somebody isn't an artist per se, maybe they are starting their own channel, they can still like relate to this topic, you
Yeah,
know?
I'm trying to also get other creative sort of filmmakers and not keep it so niche, but mainly painters because that's what I do. So I can relate to them more. But anyone who's putting their work out there, creative process, and that's why I started the podcast because I wanted to connect to people, and it seems like people are responding to it because so far I haven't had anyone say no apart from those who aren't used to YouTube going, I'm not sure about being on video. But other than that, it's been very positive.
Oh, congrats. There's not enough artist podcasts,
Yeah, there's been a few that
you know?
started, then kind of fizzled out. Because that's
Yeah.
actually how I started YouTube. When the pandemic started, I was invited to an interview on Instagram, terrified of doing it live. And then 2 weeks later, I'm on YouTube. And now I've kind of started what they began, but then I think did 20 of them in total. So, yeah.
Wow.
So,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm excited for
I'm
you.
excited.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes because I just get to meet loads of really, really cool artists and people. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, and I think that's what people are drawn to, things that they can relate to. So it's like the artist journey and like the diary of an artist and just like the struggles. Like we're all dealing with self-doubt, we're all dealing with feeling lost. So I feel like those sort of general topics makes it more broad of an audience versus somebody who's like, oh, I'm like, to be interested to sit and watch somebody paint for 15 minutes, like it's just not that many. Like even like when I see some videos like that, like I mean, to be real, like some of the thumbnails are boring. Some of the thumbnails are like I don't even want to click on the thumbnails.
Me and thumbnails. It's like I'm an artist. I should get this. But it's tiny. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You should, and I'm gonna share this too. I got this from Think Media, so I'm gonna give them credit where credit's due. But there is a website called Thumbs Up TV. So like
yeah.
thumbs up TV. And you can upload your thumbnail and type your YouTube title, and it'll show you how it'll look on like 7 different platforms. It'll show you how it'll look on the Fire TV,
Brilliant.
how it'll look on the phone, like all the different things, because that can help you size your images based on majority of viewers who's viewing it on the phone.
Yeah, we'll put that in the description for people because
Definitely,
it's going to be helpful for a lot of artists and YouTube people alike. But yeah,
100%.
going back to you, I'm very good at sort of going back to my experience because I can see it in your experience. But going back to the filming, what's your day look like? Do you film this high video in one day, or is it more like over a course of like weeks and you add it all?
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
course of weeks. Like it's all conglomerate. Like so, even like this vlog that I'm recording now, I recorded the intro for it, but the content that's going to be in that vlog has been stuff that's happened like days and weeks ago, and so I just piece it together through the storytelling of editing.
Yeah, because your editing is incredible. I'm going, oh, that definitely happened after that one. That happened before there, but it feels like a coherent story. I'm like, this because I do editing, it kind of messes with my brain. I have to stop and just watch the video.
Yeah, no, I'm the same.
Um,
I'm the same way. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. But like like when I'm watching videos, I'm looking at people's editing and I'm looking at their storytelling. I'm looking at the different effects that they're using, the music that they're using, subtitles, captions, like the whole experience for me now is changed. I'm not like just a passive YouTube viewer
yeah,
anymore. I'm like looking at it from this analytical perspective.
yeah, same.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so that's really my process. Kind of just depends on my mood, like I think as creators we feel like, oh, I have to always be on or always feel a certain way. Like, no, when you feel it, grab the camera. When you don't, have it off, and then you can customize it how you want it to be.
Well,
So yeah.
it's the same with painting and sketching. Sometimes you need to be in the sketchbook because it's not going to happen on the canvas. Sometimes you just need to stop and be out in the world, because otherwise you're not getting that feedback loop, are you? So
Exactly. The creative inspiration comes through experiences, so getting out there definitely keeps me in the creative flow without a doubt.
yeah. So I was just thinking, the paintings you do are reasonably quite large, aren't they? So is that like a very niche sort of clientele? And also there was one, I think the video I first saw was you starting a show, like I don't know, a year ago probably, but
Yeah, the Zodiac show, yes, that
yes,
was so much fun.
yes.
Yeah, it's funny. I do have a niche clientele of people with these paintings. Really, the where these paintings have been displayed is at museums. So like I'm actually working on like it's this sheet painting I've been working on for kind of like a year at this point. So that one's going to be up at a museum, and then I did another museum exhibit at Bellevue Art Museum. And so some of the pieces are just so big they aren't really they're not even like ideal for people's homes. And so
Yeah.
that's why I sell a lot of prints. Yeah, I sell a lot of prints. But what's crazy is like my career, like in the beginning, I was painting a lot of smaller pieces, maybe 26 by 30, maybe some of the bigger ones 36 by 48. And so I'm kind of just now selling those pieces I made from like 2015,
Wow,
2016,
okay.
2017, because like now my sort of brand has built up. I'm doing all this media. Like now I'm finally reaping the benefits of like all of my labor. And so I have been able to sell quite a few paintings, but now I'm just getting to the point where I don't have any more of those. I'm sort of like, those are kind of just being sold, which is super great. But with these new pieces, I'm kind of marketing those more to like museums and galleries and like historic places.
Mhm.
But I do have them on canvas rolls. So I just roll them up and store
Yeah.
them here in my studio.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole skill in itself. I haven't got into that yet, but
Yeah, I have a video on it.
you
You can,
do. Yeah,
check it out. Check it
I'm going to have to
out.
watch it again and analyze that one. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people. There's a place called Millionaires Row where it's all the massive houses and things, and I
Yeah.
keep thinking. I used to do sports massage when I used to have like a little hiatus from art, and I massage around some of those houses. I'm thinking, how can I get back in and just put like a poster up with paintings, and because I've got some large ones I need going.
Literally,
Yeah,
that would be really cool. And just also reminded, like, yeah, like
place
there are people out there, there are like millionaires out there
who
who
have the
do have
space.
giant homes, right? Who have the space, and and so it's like, yeah, I've just learned to be very patient with the selling process, especially when it comes down to originals. If your originals are like in the sort of 5-figure area, I've held paintings for years, and so it's about like prepping them in a way where they can be stored. So rolling them in a canvas or having a studio where you can store them. But I feel like a lot of people, I'm just different. Like I don't really paint fast, to tell you the truth. Like I paint large pieces that takes a very long time to make versus some people make smaller pieces and they crank those out really fast. So those can be priced at a lower point, but it's like if it takes me a year to paint a piece,
It kind
that
of
kind of puts me
reflects
higher.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I also know that, like, yeah, the average person isn't about to pay $50,000 for that, But I've learned that arts organizations do, and some of them actually purchase art as a tax write off to actually
Oh,
have it
yeah, they do.
like
Yeah.
Yeah, to have it a part of their permanent collection, to like show that they are a patron of this artist in their early emerging career. So there's just like the whole side of fine art that I feel like YouTube doesn't share a lot about. It's more kind of like, I don't know. I don't know what's a good word for it, but yeah, I don't want to say any particular word that like might offend somebody, but it's just a different type of art that I don't think the YouTube art community is aware that there's like a whole nother sign of like fine art where you can get like art grants, art scholarships, do residencies. And I'm actually gonna make more videos about that because like I want people to know about that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that art world's too big and it can't possibly get into that side of things, thinking it's like the Damien Hirst of the world and all those sort of where it's just too big to actually understand. Whereas actually, it sounds like it's quite accessible and it's quite because how did you first find out about that with the museums offering these?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say that it's accessible, but I would say that not as much competition, because well, there of course there is like everything has competition, but like what I mean is that a lot of people assume that, right? Like people assume like, oh, I can't get in this fine art place, so let me just keep doing these small little things because people can afford this. So like there's a whole lot of people trying to sell like $100 small paintings, but there aren't as many people selling like a 10-foot $50,000 painting.
Yeah.
So it's just like not as much competition in this bigger painting fine art space. Where I started for a lot of these things was applying for art grants and art awards. So I find those on a website called Cafe Artists. I think it's actually cafe.com, but yeah, if you type in cafe artists in Google, it'll come up, and pretty much cafe like a coffee. It shows you all of the art opportunities. You can filter through them based on a residency, a fellowship, an award, based on if it's a national award or international, based on location, so many different things. But I scan that weekly for different art opportunities and I apply for them. I get a lot of rejection letters. But when I do hit it big with a big opportunity or being featured in a museum or like winning a $25,000 award, like it's worth it. It's really just about having tough skin and keep
Yeah,
going.
you've got to, yeah. So that kind of brings me on to the question I ask all my guests, and we are coming up to the end of the time you could give me, so you need to honour that. So
Yeah, sure. No, thank you. I appreciate it.
there's so much we could have talked about and kept going, but so the question I ask all my guests is for those who are putting themselves out there, either for the first time or those who've been doing it for a little while, but getting a little bit disillusioned with the whole game of putting your art out into the world. What advice would you give them for doing over social media or in general?
Yeah, I would say there is no better time ever than now to be an artist. Like literally the gatekeepers are crumbling at the door. Like now artists have the power to put themselves out there. And it's just so incredible. Like it's almost comically easy now. So the game isn't now about having access. It's about having mental fortitude to take rejection, because when you do put yourself out there, you are going to be rejected hella all day. Like all day I face rejection. But it's about having tough skin and like pushing through that and knowing that literally there's just I just think the world is magical, and it's just crazy that the tools that we're using right now, our ancestors would think that they are like literally modern miracles. And so the only thing that's stopping us is just us being in our head, like being shy or not want somebody judging us, or like, oh, what would my friends think? Like what's crazy now is like people were laughing at me for like different stuff, but now they asking me for like YouTube tips. Okay, like if you stay in the game long enough, people like you will become the voice of your industry. And it's just really about like pushing forward and doing the work, because now there's no excuse. We have every tool at our disposal.
Yeah, no, and to add that, I think there's always different stages. So
Yeah.
we're way beyond where I am, but it's also I've been starting dark classes now, and there's a whole mix. Okay, you take for granted about mixing colors and all that sort of stuff, and
Yeah.
so everyone's on a different journey, and everyone can learn from each other. So I think that's
100%. And also like start small, you know, if it's like, I mean, because starting a YouTube channel, that's like a whole nother, I feel like that is like,
oh yes,
that's top tier. Like
it starts as a hobby and then you're like, whoa. Yeah,
YouTube, I had no idea like what level of just like it's the ultimate vulnerability, you know, put yourself like sure, Instagram, you can take a photo, oh, TikTok, you some 10 seconds something, you know, but when somebody's like sitting there watching you for like 15 to 20, 30 minutes at a certain point, like, so it's the most scariest thing, but I feel like it's the most rewarding energy exchange because it's such a deep community of people on YouTube that's like no other platform.
but yeah, because you're actually there on video, the community is just so much stronger, I think. And
Definitely.
I never thought I'd find myself on video, but I'm very happy I am because I've met so many different people. So yeah,
Yes.
and we got to do this. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And
Yeah.
I am so excited for you. Keep going. Like
Oh,
we need more artists sharing, and I just can't wait to see where this is going to continue to go.
yeah, and as the months go on, I'll get more confident with finding. Yeah, but it's so wonderful meeting everyone and meeting so many different artists and creatives alike. So yeah, it's been
Yes, definitely. I'm looking forward to it. What was my other question? Oh, because my thing is like, how can people find this, right? They can head on over to your channel.
but they can, and I will be tagging you in the community tab when it like as it's got about like in a few days before, so you can start sharing on your socials, and I'll message you and let you know all the details of that. And yeah.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
before I let you go, where's the best place for people to find you? And is YouTube or website? And
Yeah,
all
definitely.
the
Well, my
links.
home, my mecca where everything is my website. So that's aohamer.com. You can find my Instagram there, the blogcast episodes and links to my YouTube channels, as well as my shop too. So yeah, aohamer.com. And I'm pretty much aohamer everywhere on all the platforms. So yeah, that's where people can find me. And I'm just so grateful to be sharing this time with you, Chris. Thanks for inviting me.
No, thank you. And I always end the podcast. I always say it in a slightly different way, but yeah, keep scribbling, keep working through that perfectionism because that's where the ideas come from. So yeah, just
there you go.
Keep creating.
Yes, keep creating, y'all. Keep creating.
Yes. Okay, so it's bye from me, and it's bye from Aramis.
Yeah, bye
Hamer.
everybody. Bye.